If you aren't rich yet, it can be very hard to know you are on the right path in the first place, especially early on in your journey. But there are some signs that you indeed are on the path to getting rich, and the more of these you have, the better your chances are of getting there. So I'll give you 7 signs that you're going to be rich in the future, because I believe everybody can have financial freedom and retire early, despite all the lies you've been told. So if you want to take control of your life, I'll show you the very real alternative to achieve financial freedom and retire early, so make sure you're subscribed, because they don't want you to know any of this, and I want you to be completely free from this mess. So the first sign is you live well below your means. Basically, when I sit down to talk to somebody, if they are actually living well below their means, it means they have mastered their money in the first place, and that means they have conquered the biggest and the first step to achieving financial freedom and being rich. When you live well below your means, it means you have money to not only invest, but to take care of emergencies, and you're able to expand upon that as your income expands over the course of your lifetime. Sure, you may not know how to invest, you may not know how to do a lot of other things, but you've conquered the hardest part, and you can learn the rest in order to really accelerate that journey to being rich. It's the first step, and it's the one that most people never actually take, which is why most people will never be rich in the first place. Sign number 2, you avoid the comparison trap. Part of mastering your money is avoiding comparing yourself to everybody else, because then that inevitably leads to keeping up with the Joneses, having the latest car, having the latest clothes, having the fancy watch and the fancy phones, and just basically comparing yourself to others, which you will never win. Billionaires compare themselves to other billionaires, and they can't win that game at their level. So if you can't win as a billionaire, you can't win as a millionaire. And obviously, if you're going to compare yourself whenever you're down at a more normal income range, you're never going to be rich, because you'll constantly be spending your money because you're playing the comparison game to begin with. Comparison is the thief of joy, and you don't want to be in that scenario. Sign number 3, you don't fear risk, you calculate it. Look, in order to get rich, you have to take on some actual risk in your life. And guess what? Deciding not to invest or do other things that are quote unquote risky is the absolute riskiest choice you can actually make. And the reason why you make the most riskiest choice is because you're not actually calculating risk in the first place. If you fear risk, you're going to essentially do nothing, which is the riskiest play of all, because you're not even bothering to calculate risk in the first place. Now, I'm not talking about taking on wild risk or anything else, but I'm sorry, investing in real estate, the stock market, investing in a business, investing in yourself is not risky at all when you put in the appropriate amount of work and you learn it, more importantly. Blindly throwing money at the stock market or at real estate and not investing in yourself is absolutely risky. I would agree there. So don't fear risk, just calculate it and then move forward. Sign number 4, you believe money is abundant. Again, another thing that inevitably every single rich person I know has, and that is they believe money is abundant. Now, if you have a scarcity mindset with money, I don't know a single person who has a scarcity mindset with money that is rich. I'm sure they exist. I'm sure there's somebody out there. But in general, if you have a scarcity mindset towards money, you will always be defensive instead of playing on offense. And in order to be rich, you have to go on offense. Once you realize that governments print money, banks print money, anytime you lend money to a friend, you are technically printing money. You start to understand that in a debt-based economy, in a debt-based society, in a debt-based system, that money is absolutely infinite. It is not finite. It will continue to expand until this system, completely dies, which is who knows when that is. But for right now, in order to win and be rich in the current system, you have to understand that money is abundant, and you need to get out there and get your piece of that abundant money. Only thing limiting yourself is your scarcity mindset towards that money. Sign number 5, you routinely overcome obstacles. Look, I understand some people's paths are easier than others, but there is not a single path out there that is just a straight line with absolutely no obstacles, absolutely nothing else in your way. As a matter of fact, some of the biggest wins, some of the richest people encounter the biggest obstacles. The only difference between those that made it and are successful and excessively wealthy and those that didn't is the fact that they decided to fight through obstacles. So if you constantly are overcoming obstacles, not hitting obstacles, because everybody hits obstacles, if you're that person that constantly overcomes obstacles, you're going to be successful and you're on the path to being rich. This is biblical. This is in all kinds of old Chinese proverbs. This is a universal law of money that exists. I can take a room of 10 people, set an obstacle in front of them. Some folks view it as, and they can't overcome it. That's impossible. Other folks go, no problem. I'll jump right over that obstacle. Here's how I'm going to do it. and a lot of folks kind of fall in between there. But your ability to overcome obstacles consistently determines whether or not you're going to be rich or not, because you're going to hit obstacles, and as you move up the ladder, those obstacles are going to get increasingly large. If you routinely overcome obstacles, you're going to be successful most likely. Sign number 6, you are constantly learning. Now, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about learning your team stats or learning a new video game or something like that. I'm talking about you're expanding your mind to increase your intelligence. You're increasing your business acumen. You're increasing your financial knowledge. And you're also increasing your personal knowledge, your actual emotional intelligence, and a lot of other things like that. The point being, you're constantly learning and constantly improving. When I come across somebody who's constantly learning instead of consuming, and there's a big difference between learning and consuming, that right there is somebody who is absolutely on their way to success. If you're constantly consuming Netflix and YouTube videos and all kinds of other things like that, social media in general, and all kinds of other mediums like that, I know your chances of success are diminished greatly. And the 7th sign is you buy assets instead of liabilities. A person who decides to buy an asset like a real estate property, like investing in the stock market, like starting a business, instead of buying a liability like a car, like fancy clothes, like even a home for your family, can turn into a giant liability real fast if it's not done strategically, or it's not turned into an asset to begin with. If you are constantly buying assets that provide you cash flow and income and appreciation, then you are well on your way to becoming rich. If you're constantly buying liabilities instead, like a car, trying to look rich, then you most likely are on your way to your poorhouse and you're going in the opposite direction of being rich. The good news is, this channel is about all kinds of alternate routes to financial freedom and retiring early. So make sure you're subscribed, because they want you working forever. I want you completely free from this mess, despite the fact it's been blacklisted by society and they want to completely hide it from you. But I'm going to give you the truth because I want you to get there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.